Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Everton versus West Ham United preview. Let's hope this preview does not get wasted like the Manchester City preview. A few extra days rest for the Toffees ahead of a first home game of 2021. We are in the future, Baz.
Yeah, 2021. I mean, did 2020 happen? It feels like a lot of 2020 didn't happen. But yeah, the first game of 2021. And I guess obviously losing the Manchester City game has given us, losing the fixture, not playing it, has given us a few days to give the players that extra little bit of rest they had. And I suppose going into it, the advantage is with Everton, because obviously West Ham played in midweek, didn't he, as well? So, our players have had a few to rest and will have been able to nurse through a few bruises from that Sheffield United game, and hopefully have most players available for this game on Friday. Importantly, Richarlison.
Yeah, Richarlison's back. Obviously, the concussion protocol is dealt with now, so he's back. So that's a good boost, and obviously just in general, I suppose the general fitness of some of these players. We obviously like anyone who's been watching the games. I honestly cannot make a case for why that at least that midweek fixture goes ahead. I don't know anyone who can make a case for it. Every game was crap. Every game. I know. Listen, results fluctuate, and some teams will be happier than others. But I honestly can't make a case for those fixtures to go ahead. They are awful, absolutely awful. When players are probably desperate for a rest, I just don't get it myself. I really don't get it. And we've been fortunate in a way. It's not the greatest circumstances. I appreciate that, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Man City situation, whether they can play, this weekend or next week in their semi-final. But I just don't get. I understand it's TV, but even for TV, I just think it's crap, and I'll never understand why anyone feels like this is a good time to watch football, other than when we can actually go to games, and it's the social side of things, and the game is almost like the excuse to go out and maybe go out on a night out with your mates or whatever, or family after a match or before a match. But I just don't get it. I just think for the quality of football, it's a terrible time, and I'm delighted we've had the break. I'm absolutely delighted that game was called off, because I just think, playing a team like Manchester City would have been, hard enough with the way they play. But our squad being stretched and having that few extra days, I think, is going to give our players a real boost going into this game.
This week should be football free as far as I'm concerned. But we know that TV and everything else dictates that there's games. But there shouldn't be a game between Boxing Day and New Year's Day. No chance. You're flogging footballers, and you're talking about, and we are talking about TV audiences and what have you. But the games are terrible. The games are absolutely abysmal, because the players are knackered. They played on Boxing Day, and you're asking them to play again 2 days later, or the 27th to the 29th. It's just ridiculous, and you get injuries and you get everything else. So the quality of football is never very good, and it is a case of just getting through games. And for Everton, we had some big games in close proximity, and so that missing the Man City game, you could see in the Sheffield United game, at times we looked leggy, and we done well to win that game, given the circumstances. And then obviously, you dread to think what it might have been Manchester City with the Pulse. But now, going into this game, we should have had a nice little break. West Ham will have played, like I said, the extra game. Yeah. And hopefully that'll work to Everton's benefit.
One of the unfortunate things is Liverpool has moved into Tier 3, so no fans at the game, which is disappointing for those who could have gone. Obviously, people would have had tickets for the Man City game as well. They couldn't have gone, so sadly, it's going to be a while, I imagine, till fans are back in the ground. Certainly till the vaccinations start becoming more spread and into the general population. So that's a disappointing thing. It's going to be the first time Everton will have played at home since November without fans. So hopefully the players can recreate that in their own minds. They've sort of got a taste for it and understand it a little bit. But yeah, and again, another thing, not having those fans in the ground. But hopefully, listen, West Ham have been really consistent this season. I think in a way they're right in the middle of the table. They're only 6 points behind us. You look at that league table; it's absolutely mad. You think teams are miles away. I mean, we've been sitting, for the last couple of games in the top 4 and being second and stuff. But you look at the points, and that's all I've really been looking at. I know a lot of people get caught up with the numbers. The numbers of the league positions. But for me, it's about the points. And West Ham are on 23, we're on 29, and that's a nice for us. That's a lovely little place. But teams like West Ham, they go on a little run like we've gone on a little run. They'll, there's a few of them. There's a few teams that if they just hit a nice little run now in January, they'd find themselves up there as well, wouldn't they? And it's, West Ham I think they've started in a very David Moyes fashion. And I think what's been good for West Ham this season is there's been no, because this is his second time at the club, and the first time I think they had there was expectations of he'd keep them up and then they'd go and get an amazing manager. I suppose similar to what we did or what we've done since. This time he's gone in and it's been like, no, this is we're going to leave this. We've got no expectations of grandeur. We're just going to let David Moyes do his work. And I think because of that, he's been able to do a proper David Moyes job, and I think he's doing well so far at West Ham.
Yeah, he is doing well, and you're right. It's almost, unsettling, if that's the right phrase. It's allowed them to get that little bit of stability that they needed. And we know David Moyes is a good manager. We've seen it for 11 years. Whether he's appreciated by everyone, it is literally comes down to his persona, I guess, and the PR around him. He's a good Premier League manager. Gets you organised, makes you difficult to beat. And 5 out of the 6 games, so, okay, they're on, 23 points at the moment. Won 6 games, 3, I think it's 3 away games and 3 at home. So they're going to be solid. They're never going to be in any trouble while David Moyes is in charge of them in terms of worrying about going down. Whether they can, get better and better and finish higher up the table remains to be seen, doesn't it? Because they've had false dawns before, but he's certainly got them playing in a way that makes them beat. And this league, if you're organised in this league, you can get yourself halfway up and challenging for Europa League positions. Because let's be honest, the quality in this league isn't brilliant, despite what people tell you. It's more about organisation and power, this Premier League, and we've seen that. We've seen it ourselves. We've gone more organised in the last 5 or 6 weeks,
Definitely.
and we flew up the table and started winning. So all of these tales of it's the most exciting, skillful league in the world, it's all PR.
Yeah,
it's nonsense.
it is.
It's about power and organisation. The best team in the land, and as great as they are basically a powerfully well-organised, well-drilled machine, aren't they?
Definitely.
And that's the prototype. So Moyes has done really well for West Ham, and they look like a tough side.
Yeah, and listen, the league is what it is, and I think especially this season, with the fact that there was a short pre-season and the teams that I think the teams that haven't got the quality in the Premier League just didn't have the time to prepare, and it's taken them. You look at a team like Burnley. Burnley, the classic case. They don't have a massive budget, so it's about the manager working with the players, and it's took them and you can see it's took them longer to come back, and now they're starting to pick up a few results, and they're not adrift at all, and that simply becomes from he has to work with the players. And I think it's been similar with David Moyes. The difference is he came in from last season, he put the ground rules down, and he's got better players, and he's bought some really good players. Souček, isn't it? He reminds me of he's like a hybrid. He's like their hybrid Fellaini Tim Cahill, isn't he? In a way, it's like, you know what I mean? He's that player who's reliable, who'll come in and score a late goal, or you know, you can bank on him to just get one now and again. And he seems to be on a really good run of form, and it does feel like after all the criticism David Moyes just took since he went to Manchester United and obviously went to like Sunderland and stuff like that, I think this West Ham really suits him, and the circumstances really suit him. And you're right, the organisation is such a big part. We did something like this in November. If Everton could get organised, they've got the goals, and if they could get themselves organised, and we have got ourselves organised, I think it's just that little bit of class that we've got. That's the difference. Certainly in the final third between us and West Ham, we've got someone in Dominic Calvert-Lewin who's scoring goals, or when he's not scoring goals, like he has been ironically in the last 4 games, he's making a big difference. And as Carlo Ancelotti said in his press conference, you know, he's won a penalty and he's the own goal at Arsenal, things like that. That's what we've got going for us at the moment, and we've just got that little bit more quality. And obviously we've played West Ham already in the League Cup, and I know it wasn't their first team, so I wouldn't for 1 minute say that's what I was expecting again. You know, they had a lot of players that missing that night, but our quality on that night really showed, and obviously Dom got a hat-trick in the game, so all we can hope for is we get something similar. But for me, this is going to be a really tough game. As you've already said, they played Southampton away 2-0, so their legs will be feeling it a little bit more than ours, which I think is, it seems like that's annoyed obviously David Moyes, because he's come out and said, not on our part obviously, but he's come out and said this needs to be investigated because they've had problems with COVID and they never got a game called off. So he's obviously looking at that and thinking Everton have had a couple of days extra off. So we've got to use that, haven't we? We've got to hope that, you know, our players have got that little bit of energy, and players who are ready to go are in there and just be solid again, isn't it? Be solid again and try and hope that extra little bit of fitness, a little bit of class, little bit, I think that we've got a little bit more than West Ham shows on the night.
We've got to work them, haven't we? You know, we've got to stay defensively tight. You're right about Suchek. You know, he's someone who is a threat off plays, definitely. Goals. They've got Antonio, who's a handful, depending on what mood he's in, but he can be a handful. They've done well with Jarrett Bowen from Hull. Brought him in probably about a year ago now, I think, in January window, and he's done quite well for them. So, be it, you know, again, that'll be another battle. But like you say, we should be fresher, and it'll be up to us to force the issue, you know, and hope that we can get the Charlison in the game. You know, it's up to the likes of Alex Iwobi to try to unlock them, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin to put the ball in the net. And if we do that, then we'll have a really good chance of beating them. You know, we did beat them in the League Cup. You're right, they didn't have their full team out, but we didn't have our full team out either. But, you know, we were able to win that. But I expect it to be a tight game. But hopefully Everton will come out on top. I mean, you know, in terms of organisation, we're talking Everton have conceded in the top 4 now, which is mad. A few weeks ago, you know, goals were going in left, right and centre against us, weren't they? You know, so
yeah,
that's what we've been able to sort. West Ham have only conceded 21 goals, Everton have conceded 19, so they don't let loads in either.
No.
So
no, he's got them organised. You mentioned Antonio there. I really like Antonio. I think what they get out of him is huge. I think he played the last 13 minutes at Southampton. I know he's been injured again, so he'll probably start this game. I think Haller starts against Southampton, so you'd imagine he'd rotate them. So he is an absolute handful. He does score goals. Don't know whether where he is in stage of his fitness, whether he'll be at his best, but he is one definitely to worry about. And you mentioned the likes of Jarrett Bowen and Barahima, you know, these Benrahma, sorry, these are players that they've got that little bit, you know, Yarmolenko, whether we like him or not, Jargolenko, he still seems to pop up and have these moments, doesn't he? So they have got players who can hurt you, but as you just said there, it's about us being organised and doing what we've been doing and going for the clean sheet and then trying to grab something which we seem to be getting adept at. Very, very Italian way of doing things, and it gets you through. And, you know, as much as it's funny because, you know, Carlo Ancelotti's just done his press conference and he's saying, you know, James Rodriguez isn't back yet and hopefully be back for Rotherham, and then fans get oh, what's going on? They think it's all kinds of conspiracy theories. But if James Rodriguez hadn't been fit, who knows whether we would have gone into this kind of shape, and who knows whether it would have worked with James Rodriguez. So it's been a blessing in disguise. And if he has, it was a calf injury, and if it is in a month, and it's, he's going to come back and he's going to be fresh and he's going to be fit, and we come out the other side of it, and we don't have, we haven't had, we've gone through all the games, and we have got then have a player like James Rodriguez to come back. It could be a massive blessing in disguise, couldn't it? And hopefully this will be the last of those games that he'll miss.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many games together that his losses felt like obviously much worse. If it had been a game a week, we'd have missed 3 games so far, and you'd be like, well, a month with a calf injury. And who knows, like you just said, that him not being in the team has allowed us to play in a different way, which has allowed us to, kind of rejig the way we were doing things. Get solid and go from there. And we mightn't have been able to get solid with James in the team. But now when he gets fit and he comes back into a team that is solid, hopefully then we can get more out of his creativity, because we've got a good backbone behind us, and we'd lost our way a little bit in terms of that backbone. So just getting him back, well, obviously he's a class player, and it'd have been great to have him on the bench at least at the weekend, on Friday, just for maybe the last 20 minutes. But if he's not fit, then what can we do? It's nobody's fault. We knew this when we were getting him. We hadn't played a lot of football for Real Madrid, and he'd had some injuries, and he's done well for us. He's been available up until this injury most of the time. The Van Dijk challenge put him, really halted his progress. It was a nasty challenge, and it's knocked him back for it. Now he's got the calf injury, but hopefully come the other side of New Year, when he's fit again, we'll be able to reap the benefits of that. He'll be back fit, and like I say, the team's got that solid base, and hopefully he'll be the cherry on the top, which can combine with that solid defence and start to pick defences open again, like he was doing in the opening 4 or 5 games of the season when he was exceptional.
Yeah, and it's the start of a interesting sequence of games, isn't it? West Ham, Wolves, Villa, and then Leicester. Four. I know we've already played Leicester, but that's 4 games, isn't it? They're very interesting games, because they are clubs that are sort of probably people at the moment would put in the same bracket as us, aren't they? In a way, Leicester maybe, but even though like we've been higher than Leicester at times, and Wolves aren't maybe doing brilliantly, Villa are doing really well, and West Ham are right in the middle. I suppose people from the outside looking in would say these are 4 clubs that sort of fill the same in the bracket. They're the teams that are chasing to become part of a new top 6 or whatever, or to take Arsenal's spot or whatever. So I do feel like this next month is really gonna figure out where we are as we get to the halfway point of the season, or just over the halfway point. So I think this game does start that next sequence of not like it's not the running or anything, but we are getting to that middle point now of the season where we're trying to figure out where we're going to be come the final third, and what we're going to be jostling for. So for me, every game's massive. Every game, you're looking to get 3 points, but it does feel like this is a really important sequence of games now where we're going to have to be at our best, whichever way you look at what our best is.
Yeah, definitely. There's an opportunity to consolidate our position where we are. Yeah. Because we are playing teams around us, and the biggest thing will be, I guess, when we play those teams, is certainly not lose to them. Eat them, then don't lose to them, and so you don't lose any ground. But the opportunity is there that if you can get wins against those teams, Villa and Wolves, who are right in the hunt there, they will be huge victories for Everton. But I think we've just got to take it game by game. We've got to try to get past this West Ham game. This will be a tough game, and if we can win this and be on 32 points on New Year's Day, that's outstanding for us. Going into that second half of the season, we still will have only played 16 games, and we'd have 2 points a game. which would be incredible. You know, if Everton were to continue that through the season, we'd end up with, what, 76 points or whatever it is. So, a hell of a total if that was the case. But we've just got to win that game at Friday, and then we've got, what, 8 days then, haven't we, before Rotherham in the Cup, and again, we can lick our wounds and get everyone rested, and, you know, and who knows then, hopefully James is back, and we'll be, you know, everybody else will be freshened up by then, and we're closer, a week closer to getting Luca Dean back and Alan back and people like that. So that's all we can do really, is just, this is a big game Friday, you know, especially with the City game being called off. So, and it's a tough game, but if we can beat these, then we put ourselves in a great position and going in, well, for the rest of the season, basically, because 32 points for us at this stage is a fantastic return.
Yeah, it would be absolutely huge. There you go. Let us know your thoughts on this game in the comments. Are you happy that we didn't have to play Manchester City, just from a purely physical point of view? Let us know. And what are your thoughts on this game? Are you confident? Are you a bit wary of West Ham, certainly David Moyes' West Ham? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want more great videos, join us over on Patreon. Thanks for watching. See you later.